Welcome to my channel Cheeky Journals. My name's Tracy and today we're going to create DIY Christmas postcards. I'm using a circular stencil here to create my baubles, but if you do not have a stencil like this, you do not have to go out and purchase one. Just look around your home for anything that's got that circular shape. It can be a glue lid, washi tape, the bottom of a jar, a wine glass, a mug, a normal drinking glass. It just depends how big you want your bauble to be. If you can't find anything exactly the size that you would like, then just draw it out freehand. It doesn't have to be perfect. Those imperfections are what makes a piece. Now you'll see me going in there with a very thin brush, and I'm just adding clean water at the bottom of my bauble. What I'm trying to create is I want the watercolor to run out of the bauble and create that splatter effect. And by adding that clean water at the bottom, I'm creating a little bit, you can say, as a pathway for the watercolor to run into. You have to play around with this. It doesn't always work out perfectly. Sometimes you have to add more water. You have to lift up the card and shake the card a little bit for the watercolor to start running, or you have to manipulate it. When you do this, you'll see exactly what I mean. It's a very fun way though to play around with your colors, so definitely give it a go and just have fun with it. The colors I'm using are magenta, indigo, and I'm going to be using manganese violet. I think that's how you pronounce it. You will see me using a thicker brush when I'm adding the color because I want lots of water on my brush so that that watercolor can flow more. I'm going to be using an ink pad to stamp out the word Merry Christmas. I am not looking for a perfect imprint here. I'm actually looking for something that is looking a little bit messy, so I don't mind that I'm not printing out or stamping out the letters perfectly. I want it to look a little bit like a typewriter font, where on some pieces you have a little bit of ink and some places it's disappearing. I've decided to use this blue thread to create a bow to stick onto my baubles, just to give it a bit of dimension. This is a very fiddly job and you have to play around with it and trim it a bit, but it's really worth it. I love how it came out, and I think you can actually, I would have done it for all the postcards, but I've played around a little bit with the designs to see what I like the most. I'm using a fabric glue to adhere them to my card, just to make sure that it's going to hold and it dries clear. So that is really a good thing because you don't want to see the glue in the background. But I'm sure you can also use a PVA glue that will work exactly the same. Now for my second postcard, I am still doing 3 baubles. You don't have to do 3, you can do as many as you would like. I've just decided to go for an odd number, and 3 just worked out very well. Now the colors that I'm using for this card is metallic colors. I want to give it a bit of a shiny effect, so I've decided to go for I think it's called Fintech colors, Fintech watercolors, and the colors that I've chosen are Arabic gold, rose, and blue silver. I would suggest adding some water to the palette and just let it stand for, or to the pan, sorry, just add some water to the pans and just let it stand for a minute or so before you start painting. That will just activate the color. I'm really looking forward to getting more colors. I just got 3 to test it out and I love it, especially the gold. And the blue silver is beautiful as well, so I'm looking forward to trying out more of them. So I'm going for the stamps again, and I'm stamping out the word joy. That's what I've decided to put on the card, and then it just looked a little bit bare. I just thought it just needs a little bit more, so I've also added the words peace and love. Now the pen I'm using is a waterproof pen, so I would suggest getting something that is waterproof, since we are drawing out the baubles and then we're painting over them and you don't want your ink to run. I am using a 0.2 and a 0.05. All it basically means is that it's got a different size nib. The one is a little bit thicker and the other one's thin. So I'm using the thicker nib to do most of the bauble, and then for those fine little bits I'm using the thinner one. It's just creating a little bit of interest, and it's nice to have those different sizes in your picture or your illustration. I've decided in these baubles I am going to do different patterns and designs just to give it a different look. I have done color swatches, like Christmas water bauble color swatches. I've made a video about it. If you haven't seen it, just head to my channel and look for it. And I've done different designs in there, and you can maybe get some ideas that you would like to add into your baubles. And you can get inspiration from looking at magazines, looking around you for different patterns. You can use shapes, line work. You can even draw pictures in it. We're going on to the third postcard, and as I've said, for all the postcards I'm just drawing 3 baubles. The only thing I'm playing around with is the placement. I'm not placing them all at the same way. Some of them I'm doing higher, some of them lower, some of them together, so you can really play around with the placement and also the orientation of your card. I would suggest for this project to use a watercolor paper to get the best results, since we are working with watercolors and they just behave much better on watercolor paper. I would say anything from 200 to 300 GSM should do the trick. The colors I've chosen for this card are Naples Yellow, Permanent Green Olive, and Cadmium Red Light. I am just adding a script stamp there to create a bit of a background to see if it's something that I like, and just to show you different ways of adding dimension to the postcard. Because I've added that script there in the background, to stamp out a word there, that will just disappear into the background. So I've decided to go for this brown paper and stamp out the words ho ho ho. I don't have an exclamation mark stamp, so I've just decided to add it in with pen. And I'm just going to use a normal glue stick to adhere that to my card. I'm going to be using this beige thread to create more bows for this card. And I'm just using fabric glue to adhere it to the card. Now for my last postcard, I've decided to change it up a little bit, and instead of using watercolor, I'm going to be using some paper to make my baubles out of. Now the procedure here is to first draw out your baubles onto your postcard and then choose just one smaller size circle to draw out some more onto. It can either be music paper or book paper, and then you're going to cut that out and stick it into your bauble onto the postcard, and that's just going to create an effect where you will still see the bauble that you have drawn out initially. You'll still see those pen lines. That's why we are going for just one size smaller circle. On this postcard, I have done a combination of music paper and book paper. You can do either or, and you don't have to just use music paper and book paper. You can also use scrapbook paper, or you can play around with napkins, even just papers out of a magazine that you really like the design of. And you can just use a normal glue stick to stick that to your card. It doesn't have to be any strong glue or anything like that. The glue stick should hold it. I'm just going to go in with my pen now and add the details, the little part at the top of the bauble and the string with the bows. I'm going to be using the brown paper to stamp out Happy Holidays. Now, if you don't have any letter stamps, then you can use a brush pen to do some lettering and write out phrases that you would like on these cards, or you can just use a normal pen and write it out, or a stencil, anything like that you can do. You can also type out your phrases or your words onto a computer or a typewriter, print it out and stick that onto your postcard. You can really be creative and play around with it and see what suits you and what you prefer. You can leave your postcards blank at the back, but I found this printable off Pinterest. I'll leave the link down below in the description box. You get two different designs. So all I've done is I've cut them to size and I've been sticking them at the back of the postcards using glue, and on some of them I've used double-sided tape, and I prefer the double-sided tape, to be honest. It's just much easier and it works better. You don't have to do this, but I've just recently got a sewing machine and I absolutely love using it and playing around with it. I'm still learning though, but I'm adding a border around each postcard. The postcards you can use for a variety of things. You can either use it as extra journaling space and add them to your journals as a tip-in, or just sometimes we have those little envelopes in our journals. You can also slip them in there. You can wrap your Christmas presents up this year and add a postcard to each of them with a little note at the back. You can treat them as a normal postcard as well and send them to a family member, but I would suggest putting them in an envelope because we have added some thread and we made those bows, so we don't want that to get damaged in the post. I've also added some vintage Christmas stamps at the back just to give them more of that postcard feel. Now, I really hope that you've enjoyed this video and that I'm giving you some ideas and that you will be making some Christmas postcards. If you do not follow me on Instagram, then I will also leave a link down below and you can go check me out there. I will normally post some photos throughout the week, and I really hope that you will have a good day and enjoy this time of the year. I will see you soon. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button and don't forget to put the bell notification on so you'll be notified every time I post a video. Have a good day and I'll see you soon. Bye.